Welcome to LAMBO'S Sports Fishing Big Brother. There is a lot of matchups, and we're not even close to being done yet. That's what she said, by the way. But also, in the speaking of facts, this is a Big Ten matchup. Uh, this is Rutgers versus number 2 team in Michigan. By the way, Jim Harbaugh is back from his 3-game suspension, so he'll be back to coaching on the sidelines, and he has a chip on his shoulder. By the way, Rutgers has came from a good win against Virginia Tech, even though Virginia Tech is somewhat mid when it comes to Grant Wells, or just mid in general because they're coming from a rebuild in that program under their second-year head coach of Brett Pry. I'm going to take Michigan in this game. You go ahead and go to consider. I'm going to take Michigan in this game. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think they only beat them by like 14. I give you 35-21 because Michigan will take control of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, all credit to Rutgers. They did break my heart last week, but I'm taking Michigan in a blowout, brother. I think it's more like 17-21 point victory for Michigan. They can just control every aspect of this game, in my opinion. And stats will back it up as well. Obviously, we're only 3 weeks into the year, so stats only mean so much. But, the quarterback of Michigan is the real deal. And I think he's just going to progress throughout the entire season. The quarterback at Rutgers only threw 47 yards against us. And granted, we have a solid secondary. Like it's not as bad as our run defense, but you put 47 yards in the air against Virginia Tech. I don't even want to see what's going to happen against the Michigan defense that has been good for the past since Harbaugh has been there, really. And him owning the Ohio State rivalry the past 2 years, I don't think is by accident. He's built a great team from every aspect of the game. So, all credit to Rutgers with what they did last week. They've got solid running backs, but their O-line doesn't match up with Michigan's D-line, and their D-line doesn't match up with Michigan's O-line. I think games are won in the trenches. That's a very cliched thing to say about college football. And I think it applies here very easily. They don't have any position on the field that matches up with Michigan. And maybe this is a game that stays a little bit closer. 14 points is a little closer than I would think, but I'm more on the 17-21 point victory for Michigan side. Their quarterback for Rutgers is not good in terms of, top Big Ten teams, and they're playing the top Big Ten team and the number 2 team in the country who, after last week's game from Georgia, I think if Georgia hadn't just won 2 national titles in a row, and they have that, that target on their back, but they're also going to be held higher and they're going to have a longer leash for games that seem a little, lackluster. So I think if Georgia hadn't won 2 championships in a row and it was just this year's teams, I do think that Michigan would be the number 1 team over Georgia right now if obviously what I just said was the case. Obviously it's not, so Georgia's going to remain number 1 until they prove otherwise. But Michigan is easily like 1B in my opinion. I don't even think they're 2. I think Georgia's 1A, Michigan is 1B, and Rutgers I just don't think stands much of a chance in this one.
They don't. I will pick Michigan, like I said, McCarthy and Blake Corum. Into the documentary on YouTube, just talking, basically just an episode of the offseason and whatnot and what they went through. They brought all their guys back. Most of their guys could have went to the NFL this year. But most of their guys, like Blake Corum and all these other guys, they came back. They have a chance to compete for a national championship. This is the start. By the way, even though Rutgers is not ranked, this will be a close game because Michigan does tend to let games get real close sometimes. This might be one of those games where the games will let to be close. Michigan, by the way, has a great, solid defense. I think it's excellent. But they hadn't really faced anybody that was good as far as a running quarterback, which you said. I understand he has 47 yards passing, but I think they're going to struggle a little bit with this quarterback running the football, especially his RPO stuff. I think he'll throw more than 47 yards. I'll give him maybe about 200 yards against Michigan. I'm not sure if they're going to score, But I think I'm very confident that they will drive the ball down the field. This game will be an upset alert to watch. I'm not saying Rutgers is going to win, but college football is for the unknown. Like you said, it's unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knew Texas was going to beat Alabama. Nobody predicted that either. So, college football is for the unknowns. Don't be surprised this ends up being an upset alert, but it's not going to be an upset alert because Jim Harbaugh is going to have some spirit and some fire, and he's angry for what the NCAA has done to him over giving a kid a burger. I mean, he didn't give him money at the table. He gave him a burger during COVID. I don't know if he broke COVID laws back then. It doesn't really matter. Michigan and J.J. McCarthy, they are the best team in college football beside Georgia. Beside Georgia, they are the best college football team, talent-wise, all around. I would easily put my money on Michigan. But like I said, we'll see when it comes out to the end of the season if they can beat Ohio State again and if you can get to the playoff and not lose once again. So it's going to come out to that. Rutgers, Greg Schiano, great coach. I think it's going to be very, very competitive. But we'll see how this goes. I think Rutgers is trending in the right direction for the first 3 games, but this is a game that they will not win. Is there any final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of credit to Rutgers. Like statistically, they still have one of the best defenses in the years in the country so far. But you just look at who they've played. And I love Virginia Tech with all my heart, but we had 19 points a game last year, and we're a little bit over that so far this year. So it's not like shutting down the Virginia Tech offense was a huge, determining factor in whether I think, their defense is legit or not. And they really haven't played any other, top quality schools either. So they statistically do have a very good defense, but I just, we're on the same page here. It's not going to be pretty, I don't think.
All right. Well, this is Lambo's What Is Sports Fishing and Big Brother. In the next episode, like I said, we still have about 3 more college games to talk about. The next one might be an upset alert. Next one is UCLA versus Utah. Now, Utah can get their quarterback straight, but UCLA has a great freshman in Dante Moore. I think this could be an upset at Utah. Now, I understand that the circumstances at Utah and the fan base and the atmosphere is tough, but UCLA could pull off that upset. Figure out what we both predict. I might predict upset. We don't know. You'll find out in Lambo's What Is Sports Fishing in the next episode. We'll catch you in the next 5 minutes. We'll be talking about UCLA versus Utah. Like I said, another Pac-12 matchup. We are not done yet. We're going to keep talking.